I think what we're doing at Figure has the potential to be maybe like one of the most groundbreaking businesses I've ever seen. I think there's a chance here to really put robots into the physical world to help with just basically help with a wide variety of problems we're facing here. We have problems in the labor force, which we think we can really help. We have problems in the consumer side of things at home, caring for the elderly. We think we can really help address. We think over a longer timeline in the limit, we can help with AGI, which will be like, really important. What's driving me here is I think one is we can ship a lot of product, our humanoid robots into market and make a substantial impact to humanity. And two is I think this is going to be just a really incredible business. So I think I have the saying that like I really want to wake up to a future that's exciting and inspiring. I feel like what's more exciting than building robots to help the world. I just feel lucky to be here with probably the best humanoid robotics team ever built. We're about 50 people now. We just brought up our full scale humanoid earlier this year, and we just did first steps of that humanoid last month. So we basically did first steps from under 1 year from when we started with the humanoid robot, which from what I know publicly is probably the fastest humanoid project ever built. And so I think we're making substantial progress here. And I think over the next few years, we really hope to introduce this product into market and to show it's actually feasible and really working. We get a lot of heat for feeling like this is maybe too far out there or maybe like 10 or 20 years into the future that this will be possible. But we really believe over the next year or two, we can really demonstrate this into real markets. And I think that's somewhat contrarian right now in this space. And then on the back of all of this, we're like the economy is seeing like substantial declines in like the labor population. We just don't have anybody that wants to do these jobs anymore. So the conventional wisdom is like we'll walk in and we'll take people's jobs in humanoid robotics, and it's just false. We're walking into warehouses or manufacturing facilities. They're seeing like 100 to 200% annual turnover. There's nobody that wants to do these jobs anymore. I think there's like 11 million jobs unfilled in the US. So we want to walk in and fill that void, which we think is a really fundamentally important void to fill in the US and also worldwide. There's been no successful commercialized humanoid robotics company in history. So in terms of like who's actually has humanoids in market generating revenues, there's zero globally. So we kind of view like that's like the minimally viable level that we need to get to show that this could be a real company. So as of right now, there's nobody on the planet that's been able to do that. I think we like at least Figure, because I can speak for ourselves. I don't can't really speak for Tesla and these other groups. I think Figure over the next like 24 to 36 months, our goal is to try to show that that's really possible. And I think it's going to be very hard for a lot of groups to get there, given how very little people on the planet know how to do this. It'll take a decent amount of capital, it'll take a decent amount of time. The technology is just extremely hard. So it's not like it's like, okay, just go get these things and put it all together and make it work. It's just not like that. We had to basically build from scratch almost all the software, all the powertrain, all the autonomy, like all that stuff and the controls, like all this stuff was designed in-house from scratch. And it's just really difficult to do it. So yeah, there is Tesla on the market. There's a few other groups that are kind of doing this from more of like a startup perspective, but I would say on the whole, there's probably very little competition globally. I hope more than one group kind of figures this out. It's probably not a winner take all market. I would say it's probably winners take most, similar to autonomous vehicles. The space is just too big for one company to win. But I also think it's not like 30 companies are going to go figure this out. I think it's just too hard. And I think there's a real first mover advantage for a company getting to market, basically using the perception systems and sensors to build an AI data engine, which then in turn is going to train the robot on how to do new things. So the initial robots will be in market as a fleet, gathering data, training the neural nets on how to train the robot to do new applications that will then in turn allow the robot to do new things it was never, taught to do initially. And so that's going to be a really important flywheel that we need to start from day one that we're starting on right now that will be really hard to compete with if you have a bunch of, if you have a few companies in market that are generating that data and you're a new up and comer 5 years later, it'll be very difficult to compete in my mind. Boston Dynamics has really been focused on research and development. So I think their goals of what they really want to accomplish are very different at a high level than what we want to do. I think they really and this is just me speculating from watching from afar, but I think they really want to push the technologies to places that are almost as good or better than what humans can do in terms of like, agility and locomotion and speeds and these different things. And that's kind of like the inverse of what we want to do. It's like we're at the complete opposite end. We want to do nothing better than what like a non-expert human can do. So we look at like the distribution of what every human can do in terms of like what they do every single day. We basically want to do the most amount under the curve of what a non-expert human can. So that means we don't want to do box jumps and backflips and super fast speeds. It means we want to, we want to just do the blocking, tackling work that a most normal human can in the world.
How big can it be? Or do we not even understand that yet?
I think there's like a couple like there's like near term success and there's like obviously the long term success. I think at a very high level from a macro perspective, we're sitting in the largest economy on the planet. So the economy for physical labor is half of GDP. So half of the world's money pays for humans to do work. We have a flatlining labor population, meaning the people that we're paying to do the work is flatlining and starting to decrease globally. And that's a demographic problem. We have the baby boomers have started to retire. We haven't had as many kids. It's leaving this like the middle area of the economy and basically in shortfall. And so we have the ability to come in and basically be a generalizable substitute for human labor, meaning we can put robots in to do the things that humans, there's not enough humans today to do. And so from the TAM perspective, it's the largest in the world. It dwarfs the transportation market, like globally. I think transportation market's big. It's probably like an order of magnitude bigger than transportation. We have this like on the supply of people, that's basically like starting to flatline and go down. So if we want growth, we need some sort of automation, and we feel like humanoids can be a great basically product for that. And so in the near term, call it over the next 5 to 7 years, we feel we need to demonstrate that this is actually tractable and actually works, meaning we put humanoids into real labor applications and it's actually doing work that's useful. And I think that's a huge hill to climb. We're trying to climb that hill right now. I think if we're able to do that, comparatively, if you look like self-driving cars, this is certainly a bigger market, I feel. And I think it's going to be easier in the sense that like the safety for self-driving cars is a huge dependency in the roadmap for deploying robo-taxis at scale. And a lot of that stuff is pre-revenue. I mean, Waymo, Cruise are $30 billion companies. I think there's a optimistic view I have that if we're able to put humanoids into real labor areas with real big clients, actually getting paid for that and doing that over the next 2 to 4 years, I think there's no reason this business can't be worth more than Cruise in the next 5 years. And then I think long term, it's a matter of being able to really scale this out with a real fleet of robots at really high reliability and high safety. And there's a ton of challenges there. We have to manufacture really high volumes, and there's a very steep learning curve for that. We have to have robot reliability extremely high, which is hard. Think about 1 million robots all over the world, and they need to be working almost all the day without any human intervention. We can't really have robots stopping or dropping things and not knowing what to do next. It's impossible to have a human interface to 1 million robots and going in and fixing them one by one, or teleoperating in and saying, hey, robot, do this. We have to have the robots work autonomously across the whole mission. But I feel, if we're able to, the first hill we need to climb is we need to have robots into real applications doing real work that's useful. And I think we're working on that right now. We want to try to demonstrate that over the next year in our lab. And then within the next kind of 24 months or 36 months, we would like to have early proof of concept of our humanoids in real companies doing actual work. I think long term there should be an ability to build perhaps the world's largest business here. I think it's just the math behind how large the market is. And I'm not saying that that'll be figure, but I think the humanoid space will give rise some of the biggest businesses on the planet.